And Roy, Bethesda, Maryland, former Georgetown Hoya, is joining us. You know what's interesting? Before we get to anything else, I want to get that you, at the end of your career, your last year, Roy, you played briefly with Coach Malone and Jokic. Now, that was Jokic's second year in the league. He was a second-round pick. Now, Roy, when you're banging around at practice, did you see a player that you thought, I'm not talking MVP, but did you see a player, because you were guarding him at practice, and you thought, boy, they got a steal in the second round?
You know, I didn't see like the MVPs. I didn't see like the greatness, but he was so hard to guard in practice, so nimble. I feel like he's a thicker ballerina in the post when he dribbles the ball. So it was hard to gauge, how he was going to do well in the NBA. But he didn't have the work ethic. Let's just say I would say I'm used to. He didn't lift very much in the weight room, but like the things that he did on the court, he excelled at. And Coach Malone saw that, and then that's not the traditional way how an NBA player looks. But like he has exploded onto the scene, and I'm very happy for his success.
And so the guy that built the Nuggets, Tim Conley, goes to Minnesota and builds a team to beat the team he built, Denver. Yeah. I didn't think they had enough offense, Roy, to beat the Nuggets. I'm wrong. Are you surprised Minnesota beat the champs?
When you get down that big in a playoff game, I remember I think it was a game 6 or game 7 against LeBron and the Heat. They came out and they kicked our butts from the start, and we kept trying to fight back and claw back. And, we'd go on a 6 to 8 point run, and then, they would respond and everything like that. And that's what I thought was going to happen with the Wolves and Anthony Edwards. But to me, seeing his intensity, he only had 16 points, but he was rallying the troops. I love the fact that he was mic'd up. And this, as a former player, I love hearing him say on the bench, oh, man, you guys keep getting open, getting those shots down, and then they'll force them not to have to double team me. He had that, that pride in him. And it reminds me of, I may be a stretch here, but like the Greek mythology, Sisyphus, pushing that boulder up the hill. You fall down. But you know what? They eventually got it up the hill somehow and everything. And kudos to that Timberwolves team.
Roy, I have my theories on why European players are taking over the league, and part of it is maturity. They face older men in Europe. I don't love the AAU system. I think the European system is better. They come in big, skilled, very focused. They tend to be loyal. They don't want to bounce around the league. They want to play for a team. I love that about European players. You played with European players, but it does feel a little bit, the globalization of the NBA, and I don't have a problem with it, that the league is getting very European. I don't think it's going to end this draft. The two best players could be kids from France. What do you make? I guess we're seeing it in every industry, the globalization of the NBA. What do you make of it?
So I will start with this. Those two European players, in the long run, I feel like players that look and move like Chet and Wemby are the future. I just finished up my year 2 of broadcasting, trying to follow in your footsteps and everything like that. But I look at Zach Edey, and a great player in college. But at the same time, the things that he does well may not translate to the NBA at this time. Right. But the overseas guys who are just as tall, may not be as physically dominating, has, proven that, what? I don't need to just be 2 feet away from the basket and shoot jump hooks. I need to work on my dribbling. I need to work on being able to score. And that's why Luka is one of my favorite players, because he is so smooth with the ball, and he's also doing a good job of passing the ball as well. So, those European players are coming in better and better. I think we need to – I'm so interested – I'm all over the place, but I'm so interested in this Olympics this summer just to see, if they've closed that gap.
Yeah, let's talk about Luka. I think something that's underrated in the NBA is self-awareness. And that Luka, to his credit, said, I got to be a better defender. And my usage rate is just too high. And it's hard to tell a great player, shoot less, take the ball less. Like Ant, it's like, I'm going to go defend. I'm not in the zone. In your years, your decade in the NBA, 2 All-Stars with the Pacers, can it be hard to tell a star scorer, hey, give the ball up more? Are you surprised Luka is a willing defender and more willing to do that?
I feel like he's made those adjustments to try a little bit harder. Sometimes I still give him still seem to do the Olay where he just lets the guy drive to the basket and give up a layup. But I actually find it harder to ask like go-to players to actually like play defense. Most of the time, guys just want to take possessions off or guard the worst player on the other opposing team. But he does take that challenge every once in a while. I don't think it's a staple of his, but the fact that he makes up for it so much more on the offensive end. Obviously, you talked about him, wanting to not get his usage up, but like the players like Derek Lively, having tall, lean, athletic players that when he gets stuck, he can just throw it to the rim. Daniel Gafford, great pickup from the Washington Wizards. That's 20 minutes away, and that's just like nobody wants to go play for the Wizards. So I'm happy to see him get out of that situation and go somewhere successful. But when you have pieces like who can just finish up the rim and let Kyrie and Luka take over a little bit, but then also not force shots, but be able to make assists as well to some certain skilled players is pretty good.
So Paul George well. I really, really like Paul. I don't know him personally, but I've always loved his game. He's a willing defender. I think he plays. I think all the playoff criticism's unfair. He can score in the playoffs. Playoffs are frankly just harder. Ant yesterday didn't play well. Jamal Murray had some bad games. So when he was in Indiana, California kid wanted to go back west. I think he actually is a perfect fit for the Knicks. But then you'd be asking West Coast Paul to go east, even though I love the culture, I love the toughness. Does Paul have it in him to pack the bags and go live east? Or do you think he's just going to be a west dude? You're smiling there.
In my heart, I would love for him to, and it probably wouldn't work out, to go back to Indiana to finish where he started and everything like that. I'm not sure how the cap space would work. But in terms of like New York, big name star would be great like him. But in order for them, at least taking Paul out of it for a second, the Knicks, just Jalen Brunson's such a good player. He's really ball dominant, and that's okay. I think the way how he plays, he needs to have the ball in his hands to make sure the team succeeds because he's a willing passer to his Villanova guards that can shoot knockdown threes. DiVincenzo's great. I don't think it's a good mix of P, who's a ball handler, to really take the ball out of Jalen's hands. I would like to see him go to Indiana, finish where he started, and then go from there.
Yeah. So I've said this, and maybe it's an unfair criticism, but the East is deeper and more talented, has been a long time, than the West. And I look at Boston, and they just roll through the East. And I think, man, these Western teams have been through Dallas, Minnesota. They've been through wars here, man. This stuff is intense. You got to win on the road. And I look at Boston and Indiana. I'm like, I don't know if Indiana has the defense to compete here. Is it a fair concern to say it's almost been too easy for Boston in the East, all their stars getting hurt? If they beat Indiana in 5, do you think to yourself, if Minnesota or Dallas escape another long series, I feel like it's a big advantage for those Western teams?
Man, with the question mark with Porzingis, I think he plays such a big part of their team on offense, being able to spread the floor. Yes, he's out, but they have Al Horford, who's a serviceable big, in the league for 15 plus years at this point. But I think he's going to be the key part right there. And I have a feeling that, whoever comes out of out of the West could end up winning the whole thing, because I think Boston needs Porzingis on the offensive end and defensive end. He protects the rim to the best of his ability. When they switch out on the perimeter, he gives space and is able to contest, make guys shoot the shots that he wants them to shoot at, so he can contest and then get back down the court. But I'm not sure. I love Jason Tatum. Again, I'm all over the place. a great player, has MVP aspirations, but sometimes I feel like he takes tough contested shots. And as you see Jaylen Brown there, Jaylen sometimes I feel like has that downhill mentality where like he's not going to settle for a Black Mamba moment. He'd rather just spin baseline, work you one way. I've seen him dunk on Tyler Hero at least twice in that first round, just ISO driving to the basket. I'm not going to settle. So I have a feeling the West may win this the championship, but in terms of Boston, I feel like they really need Porzingis in there to level them out.
So, Roy, you're going into broadcasting and podcasting. Is that what you're doing?
I have a little bit of a YouTube channel. I do some reactions, break down some games and some players and everything like that. But then at the same time, just working my way up. Just finished year 2 with CBS, and then just doing college basketball. So happy to be on your network, just talking.
I appreciate it. My guy said you're going to like Roy Hibbert, and we did. Congrats. We'll have you on again. If the Pacers win that series, I will definitely have you on. I will have you on again. Great seeing you.
I want to come in studio. I need to come get a chair for me. I need to come in studio.
Well, you're always welcome out here in the West Coast in palm trees and sun. You're always welcome. All right.
All right. I got you. Y'all have a good day.
All right. Roy Hibbert, the 2-time All-Star with the Pacers. Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.